and welcome to the SportsGrad podcast. My name is Ruben Williams, and with me, as always, is the pragmatic Ryan Walker. How are you, my friend?
I'm going well, mate. It's great to see you again. God, I love your adjectives when you host. That I feel like they're like on a different level to mine. I need to kind of up my game, I reckon.
Maybe.
Yeah.
And well, thesaurus.com is very useful for that. But the other places is very useful for information is Deakin University, where, Ryan, every single course is backed by industry experts. So you can be confident you'll get the job you want with a degree that employers want. Deakin University, progressive real-world learning. Ryan, our other good friends of the show are Sports Where I Am. There's heaps of incredible events coming up this summer, and you can give yourself a memorable one if you head to sportswhereiam.com to find all your favorite sports and use the code SportsGrad to grab 5% off your tickets. Plus, if you want to learn more about us, ask us any questions at all, feel free to get in touch with us. We're on LinkedIn. You can find a link to do so in the show notes. All right, Ryan, what are we talking about today?
Rubes, today we're going to talk about 5 questions to ask the hiring manager pre-interview. So we're talking about
Yep.
the stage where you haven't got an interview yet, but you might want some information. I don't know about you, but I've had this a couple of times where I've actually rang the hiring manager or the HR representative, whoever it might be, because sometimes the job advert might not give you all the information that you want. So, I give them a call, see what they're like, see what they're doing. So, I think the main thing to take note with calling the hiring manager or the HR rep is to not waste their time. Now, I've seen a couple of people who have said, should I just ring the hiring manager? And my response to that is, why are you ringing the hiring manager? So there's no point ringing them and just asking what the job description is telling you. So key thing just to remember with this is like only ring them if these are questions that you actually want answered. Because the key thing in this is that if you ring them, that's your first impression. And as we have spoken about on multiple occasions, Rose, you don't want to waste your first impression. So make sure when you're ringing them, you've got a bunch of questions prepped, which we'll chat about shortly, but also be prepared for questions that will come back at you, because it is, it's an opportunity for them to also sound you out. So it's not just a one-way sort of thing. So
you're right. It's a good idea to give them a call in advance, but it can go both ways if you are not prepared.
Yeah, absolutely. So make sure you're prepped when you ring them. But I'll tell you a bit of a story in that when I did this, when I went into the commercial team at CA, I asked to get a coffee with the hiring manager at the time, our good friend Lena, who was a great guest on the podcast. I can't remember.
24.
Number 24. You're good at that. Anyway, I got in touch with Lena just to get some more information about the role. Because there were the elements of the job description that I was interested in. Like I knew what the role entailed, but there were parts of it that I was like, I actually want to understand what that is. So you're asking questions that are an extension to what the job description is saying. You're not just asking a question based on what the job description says because it's telling you the answer right there. So, for example, in the job description, it had, you may be required to work on match days. So I thought, okay, what is the role that we actually play on match days? Because at the time I was like, I might be in Melbourne, I might be in Perth, I might be home for Chrissy, who knows? So how critical the role was at match day was a really big factor, because if that was every single game had to be there, then that might have swayed what I was thinking for that period of my life. So what I did there was, it's an extension to what the JD said. It wasn't a question of basically like, do we ever have to go to match days? Because that's what the job description just said.
Yep.
Second one I answered was around sort of working with partners. So it said you might be required to assist with the management of partners. So a good question to ask on that is, who are the partners? Because at the time I worked at cricket, so I understood who our partners were, but that would give me an indication of like, okay, what level of partner will I be working across? So again,
in terms of like, platinum partner, gold partner.
Yeah, absolutely.
Test naming rights partner.
Yep. Yeah, so
that sort of
I'll
thing.
get that understanding. So there's 2 examples of questions being asked off the back of the job description. 3 more questions you can ask, I think, in any setting. So you can ring a hiring manager, and these can be 3 that you ask straight away. So number 1 would be, what is the structure of the team? The structure of the team can tell you a lot of things. One being, like, what could the progression look like in future years? If it's a really flat structure, it might be a lot harder to push up the ranks. If it's, a lot different, you can see how those pieces work together. So that's one. The second here would be, what's the pay bracket that the job's in? People are really, like, they get a bit nervous around asking what the pay is for jobs if it's not on the on the advertisement. I think there's no reason to be nervous about that. Like, just ask how much you're going to get paid. It's pretty crucial, isn't it? Like, we're all
Yeah,
working to get paid. It's probably good to
absolutely.
get an idea of what you'll be earning. So don't be afraid to ask about pay at all.
And they'll be expecting it too.
100%. It's not even an awkward question. I don't understand why people get nervous about it. It's just, you're just speaking facts. It's a simple one. And the last one, which I think is probably more prevalent now, probably off the back of the last couple of years, but that is around, does the role enable flexible work? So depending on who you are and what you do, you might want to be able to work elsewhere, not have to go to the office every day, whatever it might be. But that's a good question to ask. So just in summary there, like, if you're getting in touch with the hiring manager, you are asking high level questions that will have high impact, i.e. pay, flex work, structure. So the questions that, are going to determine whether you actually apply for the job or not. Questions then in an interview is much more granular. So you're actually understanding day-to-day stuff. Like, a big one that I love to ask is, like, what is the biggest problem that the team faces day to day? Because that's going to tell you exactly, what's Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday going to look like, and what are the challenges you're going to face. That's going to give you a real insight. So that's the question to ask in the interview. The last thing I'll say around getting in touch is the method that you do it. So sometimes on the job description, it will say an email of the person who's put the ad up, or it might just say call straight up and have a number. I think if it's put an email up, I think definitely email and then request a call. If it's got their phone number, then fire away. They're wanting a call. So just be mindful of that and read that. So that's it. There are 5 questions that you can ask. I added a couple in there that was sort of examples from me, but I think those other 3 are just staple. You can ask them every time.
Brilliant. Fantastic, mate. It's very important because that sort of interaction can go either way. You want to make a good impression, but it's very easy to make a bad impression. So those questions are very useful. Stick around next week where we'll dive through some of the questions that you can bring to the interview once you actually get in there. But that is all from us today. Thank you for listening. Shout out to our members. If you want to join them, there's a link to do so in the show notes. And we will see you next time.